Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to another Arena Cube draft. We just got done with a streak of 7 win runs in Phyrexia. All will be won. It is time to go where I'm much less comfortable. Cube drafts, where we have to play with a bunch of the strongest cards from the entirety of Arena. A lot of constructed-oriented cards that you'll be familiar with if you play a lot of Standard, Pioneer, and tons of Alchemy stuff, which means a ton of cards I'm very unfamiliar with. Without further ado, let's just get into the pack one, pick one as we break our 7 win streak. I'm just going to start with the Marsh Flats here. There's also reasonable mono-colored spells like Molten Exile and Overlords, but I like starting with fetch lands. That said, I've heard that there are 3 of each fetch land in this cube, so you don't have to take them quite as highly, but they are still some of the most flexible picks possible, as if you pick up any shock lands or triomes, these can fit into a wide majority of the decks, almost no matter what colors you are. If you're green-white, then this goes into our green deck. If we're black-blue, it goes into our blue deck. Super, super flexible card. For pick 2, we have Birds of Paradise, one of the best 1-mana mana dorks ever. Probably the best 1-mana mana dork in the cube. I imagine it's better than Llanowar Elves for the ability to get a mana of any color. Great way to ramp us up, gets us going in a different direction than the mono red deck that we played the first time around. I really don't mind the Birds of Paradise, and I do think that the cheap spells, the 1 and 2 mana spells, are the highest picks. You need a lot more of those than you do solid 5-6 mana finishers like Bonnie Paul, so I love taking a nice early ramp card like Birds of Paradise pretty highly here. Pick 3, we have one of the best removal spells ever printed. Swords to Plowshares, 1 mana, instant speed, exile a creature. Does have a drawback, you are giving your opponent some life back, but this is still incredible in any mid-rangey or control-y decks. I think even if you were like Boros aggro, the efficiency of this spell could still be worth it, but it's absolutely exceptional in any other white decks, so I like the Swords to Plowshares here, again, going for that raw efficiency, going for the cheapest spell in the pack, one of the cheapest removal spells, most efficient removal spells ever printed. Love that here. There's also fetch lands, great pickups, of course. Chandra's awesome. Flexible card, Cardra Engine, removal spell, all that good stuff. Lumbering World Wagon, just going deep into ramp right off the get-go. Birds of Paradise into World Wagon would be a fun way to go, but I like that. Swords to Plowshares. Pick 4 now. We could go super big and try to take an 8-drop, but I don't think I'd do that this early off of a single Birds of Paradise for ramp. We have a Wooded Foothills for the most flexible card. The Triome here, the Spara's Headquarters, could be a really high pick because there's only 1 of every Triome. There's 2 of every Shock, 3 of every Fetch, 1 of every Triome. So this would glue our 2 colors together of white and green and be fetchable off the Marsh Flats if we end up in white-green, blue-white, or blue-green. So it makes our Marsh Flats super flexible. I like the Spara's Headquarters here quite a bit. There's also the Buried in the Garden. Again, if we want to lock in and tie the green and the white together, reasonable removal spell that ramps us up as well. But I like taking that fixing pretty highly there, especially when it's the Triome over the fetch. Pick 5. Mainly just interaction here that I'm interested in. Fatal Push, Vanishing Burst, board wipe like Deluge, Prismatic Ending also quite reasonable, and on color to our white with Swords to Plowshares. I mean, Bloodbraid is pretty gnarly too, double spelling on people like that. We've got a lot of good fixing already. We could go for some 3-color build. Kind of Maya mid-range, although I don't love mid-range in the cube. I think I'm just going to go Prismatic Ending and stick to the white with more great removal. Pick 6. Descendant of Storms and Thalia to go for a white aggro deck. Green gives us Spinner of Souls, which is also kind of just for an aggro deck, a 3-mana 4/3 with some benefits when it dies, or a fetch land. So a bunch of aggressive creatures and a fetch land, basically. The fetch land actually being legitimately off color this time, but it can still grab Spara's Headquarters because of the blue. Just gonna fetch it up. I'm big chillin' for now. We don't need to be an aggressive strategy, and if I can avoid it, I will, so that we do something pretty different from our mono red draft we started with. Yeah, we're still in a good spot to end up in pretty much any colors. Pick 7. Good mono red aggro card with Swift Spear and some good burn spells. So Caustic Exhale for removal. I do not like these blue cards too much. So basically good red aggro cards or just good interaction in other colors. Take a Sacred Foundry. It's fetchable off of the Tarns. The flats or the Tarn. Just keep grabbing fixing. What for Birds of Paradise 5 card? Pick 8. Elspeth is nice for a control finisher if we go for a controlling white deck like blue-white or something. It's the kind of white spell we're looking for over those aggressive white creatures. I mean, Ledger Shredder still being here is a good sign for blue. Maybe end up in like blue-white. Jeskai, blue-white-red or something. I've seen a ton of other good green. But red removal is still flying around pretty late.
I must act swiftly and protect the innocent from harm.
Yeah, pick 9, Overlord. It's kind of a bigger red spell that can work well in controlling decks too. Although we might prefer the Molten Exhale there for 2 mana interaction because we're going to have so few early creatures and stuff that actually affects the board that we really want to load up on early removal spells. Had the cheap slots on our mana curve. Seed Shark as well is fun. I think I'd go Molten Exhale here. Like Boros Control right now. There's the Rogren Triumph for Jeskai. Perfect. I mean, Chandra's certainly better in aggro, but still good in mid-rangey control decks. 4 mana, blow something up, and then if she sticks around, she's ramp or card draw later. Like the Chandra here over our Nerving Grasp. We're not a single card in a blue yet, and Chandra's just great. The red Jace the Mind Sculptor. Aggressive red cards. I mean, you can't say that I didn't avoid going aggro throughout this first pack. If I get past nothing but aggro this late, it's not impossible we just end up in Boros aggro. I have tried to do the opposite of forcing it here, and then the last picks are Goblin, Rabblemaster, Den of the Bugbear. Monastery Swiftspear, pick 15. Well, I mean, we're still Boros. But I'm thinking we're probably Boros aggro. I don't think, even actively wanting to avoid playing aggro, there's much of an excuse not to hop on that train after the end of that pack. What we saw there. Cosmic Sovereign's a pretty excellent finisher in that kind of deck. It's also my favorite kind where it's got the Momir ability. You get a random creature every turn hasting out attacking with it, which is pretty fun. Lilia's pretty absurd. A hasty threat and a card draw engine all at once. A 3 mana 3/3 haste. Draw a card every time she attacks, basically. Gets bigger as well. Lurrus is a fun one to try to build at some point. I don't think I'm in a good position to try to go for like a Boros Lurrus deck here. Thunderkite. Kind of hard to cast, but interesting. Mikaeus is honestly not that exciting. Played a lot of aggro and cubes, and Mikaeus is always just okay. Might be better to take Mikaeus over Bloodstained Mire here when I have already spent a bunch of picks on lands, but I really don't mind the Mire. A couple good aggressive one-drops like Ruby Collector and Benalish Night Counselor. Or we have Tribal Flames, which is interesting in here. With a couple Triumphs and all these fetch lands, could probably get this to be 2 mana deal 5. What if... So our first draft of the cube... Mono red. Second draft, 5-color red. Taking Tribal Flames, it's too cute. Mono red aggro into 5-color red aggro. Triumphs to trigger Tribal Flames in Prismatic Ending style. 5-color abilities. Grab a Piggy Bank here. We're definitely not a Sunfall deck. Reasonable Welcoming Vampire deck, though. Pick 6. Love me a Bone Crusher Giant. Really do love it. We get to stay really deep on red and splash everything else that way. It's a removal spell plus a creature all in one. But Prairie Survivalist is quite solid. It makes itself and a creature in your hand bigger every turn. Maybe it's just nostalgia speaking, but I'm taking Bone Crusher here. Love the creature plus removal adventure all at once. Royal Eruption's great. It's removal or a burn spell that can shoot face in the late game. That said, we're a little lower on creatures here. We've got 5 removal spells already. It's definitely not a 6-mana Elspeth deck. I could use more creatures, specifically the cheap ones like Stadium Headliner here. 1-drop that has 2 creatures attacking immediately. I'll go Headliner. Thraben Inspector is reasonable value. Get some stats on the board, draw a card later. Bulwark Ox, get a bunch of counters on the board. Devastator just fits anywhere on the curve for some haste damage. And get more cheap cards here. I'll take the Thraben Inspector. We've got a Sacred Foundry and like 3 different fetches that can get an untapped white source turn 1. Pick 9, now a Voice of Victory over Channel Dragonfire. Lurrus is cute, but kind of hard to cast. We're much deeper on red than white, so I don't really want double whites if I can avoid it. I'll take the Enduring Courage. It's not going to be super good, but it is cute with Voice of Victory and Stadium Headliner with the Mobilize cards, getting the extra damage in. Frigate's also cute. I think I take it over Thunder Kites. Ruby Collector actually looks pretty solid here. Whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, though, so I don't think it counts the mobilized tokens, because I technically didn't declare an attack with them. They just got put on the board tapped and attacking. Welcoming Vampire certainly counts mobilize. So that'll be great card draw. Pyromancer, last pick. Whew, boy. I think we take Pia and Kieran or Stoke the Flames here, because I imagine Rip Apart will feel like the only Boros player. Even if it might be a little bit better for the raw efficiency of the spell. It's the most likely one to come back. Use another 4-drop. We'll take a Pia and Kieran and wheel one of these 2. Burst Lightning's kind of perfection. 1 mana way to clear out a small threat. Or 5 mana deal 4 to the face, or clear out a bigger threat. Great flexibility on the card. Nova Hellkite's also a ton of damage. Abrade clearing out blockers. Just a really good pack here. Even Get Lost. Dragon's Rage Chandler. Well, we can easily get a land into our graveyard. And then we've got a lot of creatures as well. 1 or 2 artifacts. Couple instants, couple sorceries. I think we can Delirium a Dragon's Rage Channeler. It's that or a 4th fetch. Take the Dragon's Rage. We got FOMO, one of the best red 2-drops ever printed. That said, Sage of the Skies looks pretty spicy for this deck. I'd have to wait till turn 4. But we have 7 1-mana plays to go alongside it. We draw one of those off curve. And getting 2 flying lifelinking threats off the 1 spell is always great. And there's also the Showdown of the Scalds. That'd be a great card to wheel. Ember Cleaves in the cube, baby! And I should have imagined. It is the best cards on Arena. And Ember Cleave is the best. Drill Mine Overseer's cute. It's fun. To draw the 7 dwarves. I feel like Baze is probably just better here. Actually, even Plasma Bolt. Base of making multiple threats, but I want another 1-drop going with the Sage the Skies Flurry, stuff like that should be good. Beaumont Courier gives us another 1-drop that's in the late game when we run out of spells to cast, can usually get sacked to draw 2 or 3. Scalding Tarn and Tersa are reasonable here. 3 fetches. I do have that Tribal Flames. Got a lot of 3-drops right now. I'm actually going to go Tarn here. We wield the Rip Apart and the Stoke the Flames. I think I take the Rip Apart, even though it can't shoot face. Main deckable artifact enchantment removal is still good. There's a lot of enchantment-based removal spells in this cube. Out of like white, almost all of white's removal are spells like Ossification, Journey to Nowhere. A lot of random artifacts to kill. Okay, now that I took that, I have feel like a million pieces of interaction. I think I can take the finishing Flying Haster here. Bloodstained Mire. FOMO, fill out that 2-drop slot really well, as good as the Showdown is his card draw. We get enough damage in an aggressive deck like this. We don't really need to cast card draw. The 7th card we cast is usually like the lethal one, or they're just so stable it doesn't matter. We wheel the Lightning Helix, which is beautiful. Light up. These are both basically card draw. Take the light up the stage here. And then a Rabbit Battery. Go into the garbage pile where you belong, Energizer. Alright, so first and foremost, I'm going to look at the mana base here. Right, because we're just a nice pure Boros deck. I want to see how difficult it is to try to buff our Tribal Flames. And see if it would be better to literally just have like the 3 land types and have this be a 2-mana deal 3. Obviously not exciting, but still playable. So we make it a deal 4 right now. Off picking up a Spar's Headquarters. Have to play a Headquarters and a Triome, but the nice thing about these is if we top deck them late game, we get to cycle them. And the Triome is both of our main colors. It's both red and white. The Rogran Triome, I should say. So I think Rogran Triome certainly makes the cut. Spar's Headquarters is pretty debatable, because the only thing it's doing is adding a couple types for domain if we draw Tribal Flames. And we have enough pieces of interaction, we could just cut the Tribal Flames and just make sure we're running 0 tap lands. All untapped mana is pretty important for a deck that's this aggressive, and we can do that very easily with cutting Marsh Flats and all these. Cutting the Marsh Flats because, well, I guess we don't need to cut the Marsh Flats. We are both colors pretty heavily. I was going to say cutting the Marsh Flats because then if I've already searched out the Sacred Foundry, Marsh Flats can't do anything. That's a lie. It's got plains still. So yeah. I think I'm going to drop the Tribal Flames nonsense here and just go pure Boros. I think a lot of that was wishful thinking, trying to keep this deck as differentiated from our first draft deck as possible, but I mean, I feel like that ship sort of sailed when we were just getting great aggro cards as the only wheels out of that pack. Just right from the get-go. 5, 6, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 lands. 17 land deck does feel a little bit high for aggro, but our curve does go a little higher up here, and we have 5 different fetch lands. Thinning lands out of our deck, as well as a Den of the Bugbear preventing flood by turning into a creature in the late game. I don't think it would be wild to go a full 17 lands here, but also we could cut a land if we don't find anything else to cut, so we'll keep that in mind. So we get to cut 8 cards. This is definitely a really aggressive deck, so likely a kind of 16 or 17 creature deck here, as high as possible on that count, while still having some good interaction. So for a 40 card, let's say 16 land deck for more room here, which allows us 17 creatures and 7 non-creatures. Sounds about right. So set everybody to the side and just put the best stuff back in. The absolute bare essentials, most efficient, best spells. Embercleave, boom. Win the game out of nowhere. That's 100% getting run. Prismatic Ending's a little lower on that list when we're only 2 colors now. Lightning Helix and Rip Apart for sure. A lot of efficiency gained by being color restrictive and requiring both these colors. Flexibility on the Rip Apart as well. These spells are great. Chandra is a very flexible card for this deck. Works as a card draw engine in the late game. Also removal. Also ramp if we still have multiple spells in hand. I like the Chandra. Not so high on Light Up the Stage is purely card draw. We only have room for 3 more spells now, so 3 of these 4. I instinctually sort of want to cut Swords to Plowshares because we're quite an aggressive deck. Giving our opponent some life is a genuine downside. This is the worst kind of deck for Swords to Plowshares, but again, as I said before, even in the worst deck for it, the raw efficiency of that spell can still be super worth it. It's just that it's no longer absolutely busted like it is in a control deck. So the swords is still debatable. I think between the Helix, the Rip Apart, all these other 3 burn spells, can probably afford. I mean, I can definitely afford to use less removal. The question is really, even though I'm giving my opponent some life, is swords really worse than like a Molten Exhale? Probably not. Or like a Plasma Bolt? Probably not. The downside is probably worth it. But it's a hard sell to me instinctually, and we still have plenty of interaction without it, so just drop it there. Now we cut 4 creatures and call it a deck. I am struggling to cut creatures here. I love everybody in this deck right now. Frigate would normally like be almost an instant cut in my mind, right? Because spacecraft are not the most efficient ways to get damage, and you have to tap 2 power to start working on this to give it the buff, to buff your whole board. I mean, would 2 mana +1/+1 to all of our creatures, no drawback, be worth it in this deck? Probably. But the having to tap to station this is a pretty significant drawback, especially considering I doubt we're ever stationing this to 12 to get anything more out of this than just +1/+1 to the board. But what excites me about it, makes me still interested in potentially running it, is that I have Stadium Headliner with Mobilize, Voice of Victory with Mobilize, Seer Slicer making goblins, Rabble Master making goblins, Pyromancer making elementals, P and Kieran making thopters, Sage of Disguise is 2 creatures off 1 spell, Cosmic Sovereign's 2 creatures off 1 spell. I've got a lot of like 2 creatures off 1 spell style things for a wide board state and getting additional buffs out of it. But it's still a hard sell, I feel, with the cost of stationing. I'll keep it over here for now. I still have to find 3 other cards to cut, even if I did cut that, and I don't even know if I want to cut that. That's the crazy part about this deck. Right, like Enduring Courage is pretty slow generally, but I have, as I said before, all that token production that makes this a little more exciting, a little more interesting. Still probably slow enough, trying to stay focused on 1/2 drop Hyper Aggro and Cube. Maybe Hellkite is as well. As a 5-drop that's just a standalone threat, certainly Cosmic Sovereign's got to be better than Nova Hellkite. Just keep 2 4s and 1 5. I mean, maybe like if we cut these 3, we've just cut a 5 and a 4. If we cut these 3, we could maybe even cut a land and go to 15 lander. Although I've got a good chunk of fetches, I've got a man land, and I've got discard and draw. So I have some incidental flood prevention. Well, we've got to cut something. As sad as it is, let's just do the thing. I guess if we're going to cut the frigate, we can cut a little more token production, so cut the most expensive of it. Lower the curve. Looks super powerful, super fine to me. We will call it a deck here. Well, we got to double check our mana base, make sure we've got the right counts of each color. 18 red cards, 7 white. So red sources are massively important, but I mean, with this amount of fetch lands to grab the Sacred Foundry, I think we should be absolutely fine, basically, no matter what we do with the mana base. Because, I mean, look, what? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 red sources, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 white. Yeah. This should be more than good enough. And I think that this is actually like where it should be, right? Like it's 12-11 is what it looks like, because all these fetches could technically grab a white source. They could grab a Sacred Foundry. But the reality is, after I've cracked 1 fetch and gotten my first white source, 4 out of my 5 fetch lands can only get red mana. So the mana base is still actually heavily weighted towards the mountains over the plains, which is exactly where it should be, being on 18 red and 7 white. Yeah, I actually think the auto-suggester did a great job on this one. That looks super fine to me. Call it a deck there. Hop into the gameplay and see how far our second aggro deck can take us. Here we are on the play for game number 1. Certainly love to be on the play here. as I will always love to be in any format. Hello. Welcome to Boros. We don't have a 2-drop, but the rest of this hand is incredible. Choosing not to fetch turn 1 because I really want to draw lands. I do not want to thin one out yet. Okay, well, I guess I am gonna play a 2-drop. Come on out, Seer Slicer Goblin. Whee! Go, Team Goblins, go! Oh, this Rabble Master is about to be so happy. There's already 3 goblins on the board. It's kind of nasty. And this is a goblin, right? Yeah, the Tarkir goblins are their own very unique art style, of course. Prismatic Ending on the goblin producer. Well, the human producer, actually. Nope, goblin producer, I'm wrong. This one's the human producer. I don't know anything about Magic anymore. I can play Welcoming Vampire and draw a card, or I can play Rabble Master and go for pure damage. I actually think I want to start drawing cards here. I have more Resilient against a board wipe from the Jeskai deck. Looking like Jeskai Control. Prismatic Ending starts them off. They're on blue, white, and red. I imagine cards like Wrath of God, Sunfall are distinct possibilities from our opponent. There's the Ossification to blow up the Welcoming Vampire here and stop our card draw. Hit a Bloodstain Mire, so we've got 4 mana up. We can play Rabble Master and Thraben Inspector. That is a little bold against a potential board wipe, but because the Inspector gives us a clue anyway, I don't feel it's any more bold than just playing Rabble Master. So if I'm going to play Rabble Master, I might as well play Rabble Master and Inspector here, and I'm pretty sure I'm playing Rabble Master. Right, like an extra 1/2 is not gonna win me the game through a board wipe. So I think here we're praying it's the 5 mana board wipe like Sunfall and not the 4 mana like Day of Judgment. The extra turn of damage will be perfectly fine. And the Embercleave could even just finish the game next turn. Especially if somehow Rabble Master doesn't die. If they just play like a big blocker like Beza or somebody, Rabble Master with an Embercleave on it could really get them. The amount of goblins we're going to have. This gets +1 for each attacking goblin alongside it, which will be a lot. So obviously being that big and also having double strike trample really won't matter how big their blockers are. So we are praying it's like 4 mana for Beza or something like that, where they play a nice chunky blocker that gains them some life, gives them a fish. It would be a very reasonable play in their position, but it would be the best case scenario for us having the Embercleave in hand. Looks like it's potentially removal for Rabble Master, which would be sad. We do not have a lethal off of Embercleave if Rabble Master dies. That's quite the draw. This forces them to play their interaction right now. So we'll know exactly if the Embercleave will resolve. Nightclub Bouncer, so the Embercleave will resolve. But it will certainly not be for lethal. Which is unfortunate. Oh yeah, Bouncer's so good, it makes my thing more expensive too. I think it's better to rip apart the Bouncer than it is to Embercleave here then. Maybe even sack the Headliner to kill it and keep all of these cards for later. They take 4 damage, go to 6 against this board. Still basically need a board wipe. It might be sack Headliner over casting Rip Apart. To play around again, land Sunfall. This could be wrong, but I'm still going to Rip Apart for keeping the max damage out here. Keeping the Headliner around. They're down to 5. And whatever they gotta do it at sorcery speed. But if it's a board wipe, it probably already was sorcery speed. I don't think Settle the Wreckage is actually in the Arena Cube. When cards like Sunfall have been printed now. Okay, so Nova Hellkite to clear out the headliner. That's certainly not a board wipe. Double removal it is. Double Hellkite to clear out 2 creatures. Crack us for 8, but they definitely can't afford to attack with the Hellkite that sticks around. So I think they're dead. It's Embercleave, right? Because we get attack everybody, they block 1 creature, take 4 from everybody else, but you add on the Embercleave damage, and that is a little bit over lethal. Just put it on anybody who isn't blocked. Plop it there, and that is game. That starts us off 1-0. Game 2 on the play. Wonderful. Every attack with 3 or more creatures conjure Mox Ruby into your hand. Triggers limits. I mean, this is a definite keep, that's for sure. I'm questioning if I should save Ruby Collector to play like turn 4 after Season Pyromancer. So just the turn I play it, I immediately get the Mox Ruby, I get the ramp out of it. I feel like I probably should. Because I don't think there's much value in the threat of activating this early. Giving 1 or 2 creatures +1/+0. So we play the creatures that just have immediate ETB impacts, that we care less about getting shot by 1/1 removal. And then just... that's suspicious as heck. Threadbane Inspector's gonna get killed by something here, I guess. And I guess we just go to combat first and then FOMO post-combat. Got Lightning Helix up. It's gonna be like Brainstorm or something? I can discard the Pyromancer, draw a card, and still have the ability to get a couple 1/1s off it later. But then I don't have a guaranteed creature to cast next turn. So it could be incorrect. I really don't think I can discard the land, though. And I don't want to discard Lightning Helix. It's actually a pretty difficult discard choice for fear of missing out. Oh, Spell Snares in the cube. Okay. Well... that makes the choice much easier for me. I don't have to choose. Okay, I will happily discard some cards to Pyromancer to make sure I have enough creatures on board to attack with the Ruby Collector. It's awkward to discard a couple burn spells, but, you know, I like Ruby Collector values. Let's get 2 1/1s. Sentinel, you are not a board wipe. So we get to Ruby Collector it up. Let's go. I wish it conjured the Ruby onto the board, but it puts it in my hand here, so I won't be able to double activate, which is awkward. I will be able to single activate and then also crack my clue. Whee! Burrow, life gain. Life gain. Ooh, life loss. Go, Belita Delta, go. Pick up a shock land. Counteract that Uro. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Hello, fungi. Well, they're probably dead to Sovereign. I guess it depends what it hits. But this should be an incredible turn. So go block these two, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the sky. Draw a Lelia. I could cast a Lelia and a Rebel Master, send all. They block these two, take 4. I could cast just this and buff everybody. These are all 2 apiece. They block this at a 2, they take 6. I think Sovereign's just the best play here. Terrible auto tap though. Buff it pre-combat to get a 4-drop off of it. It's another flyer, which is wonderful. There's a concession from our opponent because they go to 1 life on this board. And they don't feel they can survive that. That is 2-0 heading into game number 3. Truly believe Aggro is just the strongest archetype in this cube. Unless you get the many board wipe control decks that can counteract the Aggro very well. Sort of feels like Tarkir Dragonstorm in a sense. Big control or hyper aggro. On the play here, we got a 1-drop creature and a 3-drop creature. No creatures in between, but what we do have is the clue token to sack on turn 2, so we're still doing something with our mana every turn. I think with double shock, I'm actually going to lead with a plains, so I could have double white on this board. If I immediately grab Sacred Foundry off of Marsh Flats, then Scalding Tarn can't get a white source. But now Tarn can get red or white, whichever I need. Or both. I guess I could have just done it the other way around, right? Like we could lead with Tarn and use Tarn to get the Sacred Foundry. And then March Flats gets the second white. But either way I do it, I'd have to be on Sacred Foundry and a Plains to end up with 2 white sources on this board. Which I think we do want. Jet Collector off of there Once Upon a Time. At the beginning of your second main phase, if 4 more cards are in your graveyard, conjure a Mox Jet into your hand. Ooh, that's one of the easiest ones to trigger, I feel, with fetch lands and stuff. I mean, at Once Upon a Time, a fetch land, you're already halfway there. I think I'm going to crack this clue to draw a card, so I'm not going to Scalding Tarn just yet. Shoot myself with a Sacred Foundry here. I guess the life total is almost definitely completely irrelevant. So I could still do it to thin a land out. They're blue, white, and green. Some Bant stuff over there. The Jet Collector has hit the board. They're not quite to the Jet yet, but that's still a very good ability if they get there. So I'm just going to clear it out and get some more Inspector damage in early for now. Land. Ah, goodbye, Rip Apart. I was actually hoping to just exile a land forever with Lelia there over a spell, but it is what it is. Still definitely worth casting Lelia. Sylvan Caryatid, just a blocker. Not a great one. I mean, it's got hexproof, but does not block Lelia well. So let's see. I may play that card this turn, so I can play lands off the top with Lelia. So I suppose I'm supposed to attack before I do anything else. Well, there's still that argument to just Tarn first and make it slightly less likely to draw another land. Oh, Seer Slicer Goblin's a great one. This goes away anyway in the end step, so no point in playing around a board wipe by not casting it, because if I don't cast it, I just lose that value forever regardless. They've got 5 mana now, they could Sunfall us. They have an Elder Gargaroth, though, which is big enough to survive what I currently have. The Molten Exhale. However, I'm pretty sure Embercleave is lethal. Kind of no matter what, right? I can Molten Exhale the Gargaroth pre-combat and then attack all, putting an Embercleave on a Lelia, so Lelia is 6 power double... Yeah, no, they're definitely dead. Because we can trample over after putting only 2 damage on the Gargoyle here by Molten Exhaling pre-combat since it's a sorcery. We don't have any dragons to make it an instant. I mean, now I do. Off of Lelia, but it's an exile, so that still wouldn't work. Alright, Mega Lethal. That is 3-0 heading into game number 4. Alright, here we are on the draw now for game number 4. Great mana here. No 1 mana threats, sadly. Always bolt the bird. Get off my board. Probably should just Tarn immediately for the shock, but I was a little lazy. See, this is what happens when you get lazy. You top deck the shock anyway. Now I can only Tarn for a mountain. Absolute tragedy. Green, blue, black. Would like, if they don't have removal for this Voice of Victory, to stop them from doing anything during my turn in a blue deck. We pray that they're on Simic counterspells. No, not a 3/3. I already used my Burst Lightning. Well, I cannot kill that. Cannot kill that. I can go ahead and draw a card here. Let's just get this Tarn out of the way. Thin a mountain out of this deck. I guess if I draw the card, I'm sacking the Voice to do it until they attack me, and then the draw is free. Please attack me with your cat. Actually, it's going to be a 4/4 now. That's a little bit less exciting to get hit by, but it still would get it out of the way. They do not attack me with it regardless. Stadium Headliner. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 creatures on board. I can Headliner the Cub away. You always need one more creature than you think you're going to need with Headliner, because Headliner dies before you deal the damage. So we need to make sure we have 5 creatures on the board to deal 4 damage, because Headliner will not count. Okay. I guess I could kill the World Wagon instead. I guess I kind of have to if they crew it here. Yeah, good play from our opponent for sure. But still not a bad target for Headliner. Still sneak all this damage in and draw the card. To main phase, and now we play a tap land because I have nothing to cast. Rook Relentless, incredible in this matchup. Because he gets to clear somebody out and then play a bunch of Death Touchers on blocks. Yeah, that is gnarly for trying to get damage in with creatures. Well, I could top deck perfectly and then it's not so bad. So I guess I'll just do that, shall I? What does this do? When it enters, target creature you control or creature in your grave gains. When a creature you control with greater mana value than this dies, return it from the grave to the battlefield tapped. When a 4 or 5 drop dies, get a Welcoming Vampire back. Actually, Headliner would be insane with that perpetually. Just keep coming back. I feel like I want to pick Headliner. This gets exiled at the end step, so it doesn't trigger the death ability. Unless they block it with the Cub, I guess. They could block it with the Cub here. I'm going to pick the 1-drop. Now, if they kill the Kami, they trigger the Cub. Or, not the Cub, they trigger the Headliner. Beautiful.
Something else.
If I picked the Vampire, that wouldn't count, because it's got to be greater mana value, and I just lost a 3-drop. So I think that was the best way we could play that out. We have the cut down on our Voice of Victory. since Headliner could just come back later anyway. Oh, the reach creature for the Sovereign. So it's only going to get the one attack in now. Never mind. We're just the top deck king. This is ridiculous.
I knew you needed my help.
Could double buff this, or I could have a piggy bank up on blocks. Double buff makes it 5, 6, 7 damage on board, and I'm getting a hasty 5 mana creature. It'd have to be an 8 power 5 mana creature to lethal them, so I feel it's better to just piggy bank then and hit a little bit less hard. Vorinclex. That is very close to lethal, but not quite. It's gonna eliminate Chandra. That's the play. Goodbye, Chandra.
Waste of my time.
I don't see how they live here. Yeah, they're just dead. They're done on board to 7 power flyer. 4-0. Heading into game number 5. Alright, here we are on the play. Watch us be on like the mono red or Boros mirror for the first time ever. When I finally choose, you know what, I should probably just get the Sacred Foundry immediately. I think the life total is irrelevant. It's gonna be relevant. It's gonna be relevant. Oh, I had information I didn't even look at. I wish there was like an animation or something for revealing companions, because it's really easy. When you're on the play, to just not even look up there. Just be like, okay, whatever. Yeah, seeing Lur's companion makes you know they're pretty aggressive. It's all mana value 2 or less. So this is the one time we actually could get punished for just taking 3 right off the bat. Let's get some permanent creatures on this board. Off of Seer Slicer Goblin first. This hand is exceptional. There's a journey for the Goblin, sure. Not a big deal. You can play the Ruby Collector and the Voice of Victory, but Ruby Collector doesn't trigger yet anyway, so it's probably better to hold up Burst Lightning. And I guess if they don't end up casting a creature, it won't be that good. It would have been better to just play Ruby Collector. But again, technically I don't think it actually triggers. You have to declare the attack with 3 creatures. Quarry Steel Cutter. Okay, they're gonna flurry. Probably have 2 creatures up here. Steel Cutter is gnarly. Okay, just the 1 creature. No Ruby Collector value. No Ruby Collector value. Running out of stuff. This is looking bad. They are at 6, which is something. Certainly something. Do I just bolt the face for 3? Have them at 3 life. They've got a Steel Cutter on board, but then I get to run out of stuff. Need to clear somebody out of the way. I don't think I bolt for 3. Oh, and Void is non-land. So I could only shoot them for 2 anyway. It's not right. It doesn't count cracking a fetch land. That makes it considerably worse here than I was thinking. No 1 mana spell, no 1 mana spell, no 1 mana spell. No! It's a creature too, so they got 3 blockers up now. That's super bad. For me. Attack me. Dang it. Ooh, Bone Crusher. Bone Crusher is pretty dang nice here. These two spells are 4 damage to their face. I have no way to sneak the first 2 damage in. Unless they just choose not to block multiple creatures. I guess it's probably attack all. No, wait, no, I can't. Because I make the Mox, I can do this. I can attack all, buff everybody by 1. That's at least 2 damage. And then with the remaining 3 mana, thanks to the Mox Ruby, I can cast both of these and finish them off. And actually, because I triggered Void there, I didn't even need to buff. Wow. Alright. Mirror match, but we were on the play, which obviously favors us quite heavily, and that means that we get the 5-0 run now. I don't remember how Cube Prize Out works, but I have to imagine that is at least breaking even in gold required to enter. It sure is. It's 4,000 gold to enter. We're getting 4,000 gold and 3 cards back, and we still have not lost a single game. Only need to find 2 more wins in these next few games here, so incredible run so far. Aggro remaining ridiculously powerful in the Arena Cube. Oh, real quick hand here. Loving that. I'm going to shoot myself for 3 immediately again. This time I also have Delirium incentives for shoving a land in my grave as quickly as possible. 2 different Delirium incentives. Rabble Master is the draw. I think with a Rabble Master, it should be easy enough to get the attack with all 3 creatures thing, so I'm actually going to ditch. This is so bold, but I'm going to ditch the land here. I'm a greedy man. And it plays perfectly. I have another land on top. Okay, can't attack with 3 creatures this turn, so let's just run out the Rabble Master. Might just get countered. Blow it up pre-combat? Sure. Get abraded. Hit for 3. I've got the instant. If we hit a sorcerer, we can get full Delirium. There's a Tursa. Sure. When does Channeler get the buff? Just as long as it has Delirium, period? No set time? Channeler pre-combat to make the Burst Lightning better is interesting. Does it get haste? Does not get haste. I guess I don't really have a good combat here. I'd have to trade a creature and a Burst Lightning into Tursa. So, I mean, our opponent's also pretty aggressive looking here. I think we just flood the board out and don't worry about board wipey stuff. Fear of missing out for Light Shatter is a 1-for-1 trade and puts an enchantment in my grave. Alright. So Channeler's going to have Delirium next turn. There's an Inti. It does some stuff, but I don't think it's going to matter. I'm just going to Burst Lightning it. Let's do it before I cast anything else. So I have the maximum mana up here for like a counter unless I pay 2 or 3, like a Spell Pierce or something. I'll keep a Sage of the Skies. It wouldn't be crazy to ditch it, but I am going to get a Mox here, so I can do it for free. Rude. I guess I'm not getting a Mox this turn, which does make the Sage a lot worse. Yeah, they're quite likely to spend some kind of removal on somebody next turn to make sure I don't attack with 3 creatures and then I don't have the 0 mana Mox in hand. So yeah, that would have been the argument for ditching Sage of the Skies. Is like, if anything happens where I don't get the Mox, then I'm not going to double spell next turn, and this is just 3 mana for a single flyer, which is not the greatest draw in that position. Oh, Jesus. I got the getaway. Heists 2 cards out of my deck and drains me for 2 life each time they cast one of them. Really, really powerful card, because Heist is already a pretty bonkers mechanic, but the life drain to give them the breathing room against an aggressive strategy is really brutal. Like, if they find a Lightning Helix off that, that's basically game. Oh, is it only for this turn? You would play the exile card this turn. Oh, okay, so they were just choosing they couldn't play anyway. Okay, let's go to combat and pray I get to declare the attack with these at least, even if somebody dies. Yes, give me the Mox. Yeah. Oh, okay, that's less good. They're gonna get rid of my Sage in Skies. That's so rough. Alright. That's funny. I locked in the Mox, but not the Sage. No reason to hold up Rip Apart. There's nothing left to target, so we just double activate Pass. I guess I can play the Mox to Surveil. I'm missing on a Prowess trigger to do that. Miss out on 1 point of damage to Surveil for our top deck for next turn is probably worth it. Another removal spell? I think I keep that. Obviously, like, if they kill both my threats, that's kind of an issue, but I have enough mana to start attacking them with the Den if they kill all my threats. Kind of want to not do it against all this open mana, though. They could have more flash creatures. I don't want to get my land blown up before these creatures. Yep, that's an absolutely insane flash creature that completely flips this game on its head. I think that they are actually very far in the lead now off of that single spell there. Because it's a draw 2 and the instant speed removal at the same time. It's such a shame the Dragon's Rage Channeler doesn't become a dragon in addition to its other types. Because then this would have been an instant. Although, I guess it being an instant would not change how that interaction ended up regardless. Boop an Agent of Rafine. Have my Swift Spear get booped. Oh my god, the Lock Whale here? Absolutely gnarly. Just play a 6/6 Ward 2 next turn. Yeah, the Azure Scale was just an absolutely absurd tool to stabilize them. The removal plus force me to use removal plus draw 2 was the big part. Draw 2 guaranteed non-lands. Last card's got to be removal here to get us. I'm just going to try to send 4 in. It's perfect removal. Alright, well that's game. They just flash in the whale and hit 9? Okay, I guess they're 1 damage off from doing that, but they were super far ahead there. I guess we had 1 top deck that could maybe get somewhere. The dragon that spits out bonuses was our only out at that point. So yeah, since they couldn't flash in the whale and also spend Prismari Command there, they would have untapped and then played the whale sorcery speed to be able to hold it up as a blocker. And then, yeah, even the dragon doesn't get there. Okay, here we are on the play again for game number 7. This is actually a much more awkward opener than I thought. I looked at it and I was like, look at all these castable spells, but it's like they're literally all removal, which is not what we want to do in our opening hands with this deck. I probably should have mulliganed. I suppose I can Helix the face here. I have enough removal to just spend some mana burning face. That still feels wild to me. I'm not going to do that. Full Boros control hand. The stock up, yeah, they're just going to have the perfect setup before we put any pressure on them. And this is where the control deck can just run away with the game. I 100% should have mulliganed this hand. I just saw cheap mana values and the mana to play everything. But this hand is atrocious in a control matchup where they just don't even play threats early. They're just drawing extra cards to make sure they have removal and board wipes in their big bomb that's going to eat our soul. Oh, the Ember Cleave for the salt in the wound. That's got to be the literal worst draw in the whole deck. In a no creature hand. Well, there's somebody. You got this, Stadium Headliner. You could definitely dodge a full 7 cards worth of interaction. I believe in you. Mill me with Thought Scour, alright. Not the usual play. Card's very good with graveyard synergies and stuff. Like Jace wants like 5 or more cards in grave. You could have flashback spells to go with it. I don't believe there's a mill archetype in this cube. But there might be a mill win condition or 2. There's the Ashiok that exiles 3 cards a turn, I think. And then there's like the Jace. There might be the Jace that mills like 15 when you play it. So they probably have one of those mill planeswalkers. Yeah. Awesome. That's fun. I can't kill Ashiok here because even if I go full control mode, the +2, it's going to have 5 loyalty before I get to try to kill it. Yeah, that's just how planeswalkers work. I just am not allowed to have priority before it has 5 loyalty. Ah, it's so rude. Why do magic rulings have to be that way? Rude game. Rude game. No removal for Stadium Headliner, please. No removal for Stadium Headliner, please. I mean, I guess I can just Plasma Bolt. Finish off Ashiok anyway. Alright, that's not the worst. That is not the worst. Ashiok has been dealt with. Now we actually have a wide board towards Embercleave, although now I'm going a little bit heavy into a board wipe. It's technically only 2 actual creatures, and just the tokens they provided me, though. Dig for the lands, we do find them. Dragon Rage Channeler is actually going genuinely wide into a board wipe. But hey, if they tap out for a board wipe, I untap in Cosmic Sovereign. Let's just put full pressure on them here. I think there's Meathook Massacre and Toxic Deluge in black. Are there outs here? We have Liliana at 6 mana, but that would be very bad on this board. So each player sacks 2. Brutal. They had the Meathook, which is the life gain one. That's insane. Yeah, we would have still been in a really solid position if they had Toxic Deluge, because they have to lose life instead of gain life there. But Meathook is absolutely gnarly. Yikes. Flying lifelinker, make us sack a creature, gain a life off Meathook. Well, they got us. 15 life with a lifelinker and a Meathook on board. No combination of draws from here. It's pretty much all spells. Yeah, we just kept a really bad hand that game. That's the kind of matchup that usually be pretty easy. We just have to curve out and put early pressure on them. But we didn't cast a creature to like turn 4. We just sat there wide-eyed staring at them. Terrible keep. Should have looked at the hand more closely. 5-2 heading into game number 8. Okay, I actually checked what spells are in my hand this time. And this one, genuinely a great keep. Piggy Bank into Lelia. Bone Crush, whatever they play. Plasma Bolt as well. Green, white, and blue is what we see so far. There's Mikaeus as a 1-1. Just trying to stop some early damage here, I suppose. Full speed ahead, drop Lilia. I don't feel a need to blow up a Mikaeus here. Full speed ahead. Oh, goodbye Burst Lightning. Touch the Spirit Realm, exile Lelia, still a Piggy Bank versus 1 Mikaeus. Mikaeus now could get big enough to block the Piggy Bank. They could go block plus tap, but instead they want to keep Mikaeus around, so they're just going to tap it right now. Don't mind Bone Crushing Mikaeus here, but I feel it's likely better to just play Pyromancer. I could Pyromancer and Plasma Bolts. Ditch the Den because it's a tap land to draw something else. Don't want to ditch the Bone Crusher though, so we're playing Pyromancer, just the 2/2, no 1/1s involved. Slightly disappointing, but I think still worth it. Oh, I have to discard 2. I know Rares and Mythics. I definitely play constructed formats. I've definitely seen this card at some point outside of just cube drafts, right? This is why I'm bad at cube. I only know meaningless commons and uncommons that are only played in regular draft formats. Well, those were horrible draws, sadly. A Sage with no spell alongside it. Pretty brutal. Still probably have to run it out here. We just lose if they have a board wipe and win if they don't. Kind of where the game has gone with these draws. But certainly self-imposed. I probably should have just ran out the Bone Crusher as a 4-3 at that point, since the Pyromancer discard is forced. The Thrag Tusk for the life gain and multiple blockers is really not what we're looking to see. Nor is the Mana Flood. Oh my god, Virtue of Loyalty is filthy. And Dollmaker's Shop? Holy Jesus. Some incredibly powerful cards. They still have no flyers, which is a big deal. If they don't draw removal for Sage of the Skies, Sage can get them here. See, any other burn that we draw is almost lethal already. Legion's Landing is also exceptional here, giving them an endless army of life linkers that are going to keep getting bigger off of Virtue of Loyalty. Ooh. They play a Shock Land. Oh, they played the Shock Land tapped, though. So they fetched a tapped Shock, only took 1 instead of 3 there. Sear Slicer Goblin. Sure, that gives me a chumper when I send in the Sage. Tragically, they get to gain 2 on the crackback here. We're literally only 2 damage from lethal. If they got an untapped Shock, we'd have lethal. Oh no. That turns into a giant lifelinker, and they untap their whole board. In the end steps, they can station it, and then still have everybody untapped. Oh, that Frigate saves them so much here, because they get to have a big enough lifelinking blocker I can't attack in the sky. For the last couple plus Helix. Wow, yeah, no, that was absolutely insane here. Because they get to make this attack gain 3 and also have all of the power and toughness they need to have the Frigate up on blocks too. Because everybody else can station the Frigate and then everybody gets untapped. Oh, that's gnarly. Do I Lightning Helix this lifelinker to keep them at 5? It's essentially the same as Helixing the face, except they don't get a 4/4 untapped here. I'm tempted to block with Pyromancer, though, to spread out some elementals. But I think it's probably Helix the Vampire. But yeah, now they get to station the Frigate and have a giant lifelinking blocker. Everybody else is untapped. They don't realize they can do that, and so we're still in it, baby, because we top decked a flyer. Oh my god. Absurdly lucky. Oh. Oh. We had no business winning that game. I made a pretty major misplay with Pyromancer earlier. Just completely forgetting how it worked. But luckily, our opponent made a pretty major misplay with Virtue of Loyalty in the end. They had more than enough power to station the frigate for its final 10 to have it up on blocks. And then just untap everybody, but they didn't realize they would be untapping everybody. Because, yeah, this was 7, that was 4. These 2 creatures alone could have fully stationed the frigate at that point. Whew. And then we drew the Sovereign to punish them for that as well, for insta-lethal. Really lucky stuff. And that is going to carry us up to 6 and 2 here. And I think a majority of the games that have been going wrong and the losses here have been user error or card inexperience type stuff. So I think this deck could have easily gotten another 7 winner. I think the aggro decks are fantastic in the cube. But luckily enough, even through the user error, we've made it all the way to the final battle. All right, here we are for the final battle. We are on the play. Start off on turn 2. So 2-drop, turn 2, 2-drop, turn 3 into Chandra. Chance of getting flooded with a 4-lander on the opener, but I think this is definitely a keep. We'll just immediately start by thinning a land out of the deck. Technically, I can give my opponent less information by waiting till their end step to crack that, but I don't care. Oh god, no. Blue-white control. Come on out, piggy bank here. We're going to have to attack a 0-3. Ooh, Jeskai. They haven't blown up my pig yet. That's something. Live, pig. Live. No. I mean, it's alive. Let's go wide here with Seer Slicer. And kill whatever blocker they make with Stomp. So I can attack with these 2 and one of them gets past the crab, and then I also get another goblin. That feels better than a single 3-2. The piggy bank is better if they go for like a just destroy it removal spell, like a burn spell or something that doesn't exile. But this is better against blockers. Just play the Seer Slicer Goblin and start getting a wide board. So I mean, either play I think is pretty reasonable. Seasoned Pyromancer actually really does not look bad for this hand. I can go Stomp Piggy Bank, or I can go Pyro, or I can go Chandra. Just go to combat. Poke in for a damage and get another Goblin. See if anything they do changes how we want to spend this turn. Kill the Seer Slicer Goblin, get a treasure. Fair enough. I like Bone Crusher Piggy Bank against that block. Gonjo is their land for turn. Steaming Sauna for a card draw engine, but they're tapped out now. Come on, land for Sovereign. Land for Sovereign. Tapped out opponent here. No land for the Sovereign. Bone Crusher and Headliner. Pretty bad against the board wipe, but my other 2 cards in hand are pretty resilient against the board. The board wipe. It's probably it. Basically forces their hand. They need a board wipe here or they're in a terrible, terrible position. And then even if they do tap out and board wipe, if we just top deck the land, we go Sovereign and we're good. Alright, Roaring Furnace is not the wipe. That is going to be one removal spell to start. Shoot the giant. That's it for now. But all that card draw means they can hit more removal easily. Very mastermind. It's only one toughness, so trades into somebody here. I actually wouldn't mind them trading into the piggy bank. To get the treasure. So I don't think I'm cracking Headliner or anybody. So now I know I can Cosmic Sovereign next turn no matter what. I guess Pyromancer discarding Inspector and Chandra is kind of awkward. It's really bad against a board wipe. And I'm somewhat likely to be turning one of those into another land that I don't want anymore at that point. Is it really just Inspector pass? Kinda nutty here. Like playing around the board wipe too much. I guess Chandra probably doesn't die to the board wipe. Sure. Chandra deal too.
I'm the best fire starter there is. This'll be easy.
Now I've got a consistent 2 damage a turn burn spell ticking down, even if they blow up all creatures. Okay, Ossification to Chandra. All of the interaction. Draw a card. Find out if they have the counter for the Cosmic Sovereign, because if they don't, they're super dead. Okay, they definitely have an instant. But that could just be their clue token as well. They probably have some kind of removal. Pyromancer's still pretty bad here because we discard Sovereign for it. Activating and attacking with Den of the Bugbear would be terrible against removal as well. Is this the best play? Legitimately just play 3-bit Inspector? Can't be. Feel like we just have to go for it with Sovereign. It probably dies, but then we get in for 3 with everybody else. Mana Leak. They put Mana Leak in? I didn't even know that was on Arena yet. Does look pretty awkward. I didn't crack the treasure and play Inspector last turn, but at the time I didn't know I was going to top deck a 5th land for Sovereign. Steaming Sun is going to do its best to take this game here. Let them blow up Den with another removal spell, take 2. What card type am I missing for Delirium? Instants or Sorceries? I've drawn no Instants or Sorceries. That means I have a lot of burn spells I can draw into. We're probably just digging for burn then. It's way better against removal. So they're just going to allow that. And we're going to dig. Lead with FOMO, discarding Pyro. I think so. Rip Apart blows up the Steaming Sauna, or the Portable Hole. It doesn't shoot face, so it feels perfectly reasonable to just blow up the sauna here. Yeah, and that feels better than blowing up the hole. Gets me full delirium as well. The sorcery engrave. Okay. They've got a Wandering Emperor, which I believe gains life off the minus, doesn't it? Yeah. Freaking life gain. They were currently dead to any burn spell in the deck, but Wandering Emperor changes that. Oh no, and then Ugin that gains 3 and draws a card every turn. So close.
Let your blade do the talk.
But that's completely over.
Is vital to success.
We might have been able to curve that out more aggressively and get there. But again, like if we went for the Den earlier and that got like exiled with Wandering Emperor, it'd just be worse. That traded into Fairy Mastermind. I guess the turn they mana leaked, maybe they didn't have the other interaction. I don't know, there's probably somewhere to find the shields down. Alright, either way, I mean, going up to 12, drawing another card, there's no combination of draws that wins the game from here. I'm good to end it off there. 6-3 it will be. Our 7-win run streak finally ends. Fitting for it to end in the cube, the format that I don't like as much and I'm not as good at than regular draft formats. So that is where there's going to be a lot more human error, a lot more user error. Very happy with how I drafted this deck, I think. Like, I was staying super open in that first pack. I had some really nice cards towards a controlling deck, like maybe towards Jeskai with Swords to Plowshares, the Elspeth finisher, Prismatic Ending, like a nice slow grindy control-y pile. But then the last 3 or 4 picks of that pack were like Rabble Master, Swift Spear type stuff, and it was like, okay then. I guess that's the direction to go, and it certainly was. We got a ton of incredible options for this Boros strategy. I think this deck was more than capable of a 7-win run, and you can definitely tell looking back on the games that had we played them out perfectly, it absolutely would have gotten a 7-win run. I am just far from the perfect player in general, but certainly far from the perfect player in the Arena Cube, where there's tons of rares and mythics I have little experience with, alchemy cards and stuff I have literally no experience with. So we take those. 6-3 is still a very respectable record. If I had to end off my, 5 7-win drafts in a row with anything, it's nice to end it on a 6-3 instead of like an 0-3 or something here. So we'll take that. And it's going to be 5,000 gold, some random rare rewards, including multiple bonus gems, as I already have a playset of those different sets. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in a recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.